and me being honest is necessary for you to move on, caring enough to give
right.
me the truth and you receive the truth so that we both can be better on the back end, I believe creates a platform for us to forgive.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Deep MCs, the podcast that seeks to push meaningful conversation to a whole new level. Whether it's for your entertainment or your personal growth, we appreciate you being here today. And now, on to the show. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, how are you?
Doing pretty good. I can't complain at all.
You know it doesn't change anything if you complain anyway, right?
I mean, it makes me feel a little bit better.
You know, most people act like they care.
They do, and I will take it.
Okay, all right.
I'll take it.
We'll run with that.
I know they don't, but I'll take it. So what we getting into today?
Man, we actually had somebody, submit, an idea for us to address, and we're going to go ahead and do that. And so today we're going to talk about forgiveness.
Forgiveness. That
Yes.
is that's the F word.
Yeah, that's a new F word,
That's
right?
the new F
Wow,
word.
man.
Yeah, man. Forgiveness. It's interesting. I think that everybody kind of struggles with it.
Yeah, right.
I think that some people say, hey, I do it. I'm gonna cut this down a little bit because I want everybody to be able to hear what we're really getting into here. But I think that do people really forgive? Do they really truly forgive? Even when they say, man, I forgive you, but then as soon as they get mad, it comes back up again. Remember when you did?
Yeah, right, right.
Or it's forgive but don't forget.
I mean, it's you have all of these quotes, right? I'll forgive you, but I'll never forget, right?
Right.
And all of those things, and so you have to question, is the forgiveness honest, right? Is it true? And we'll even get into being truthful and all of those kind of things, right?
Right.
But is forgiveness true if you still harbor the issue, and like you said, it comes back up the next time you have a conversation, or not even have a conversation, say you see that person again,
right,
and
in the face,
it floods all the way back, right? Have you truly forgiven, right? Have you gone through the steps? I'm sure there's some steps that we need to go through to kind of detox ourselves from the either the pain or the bitterness or whatever the emotions that are attached to our inability to forgive.
right? And it's interesting, and I guess, I mean, for me, and I've kind of we've had this conversation before, but you don't always know the total story behind a situation, or a situation that's scarred you, right?
Right.
So like even for me, like I said, growing up, coming from a family that had a wee bit of a drug problem, right? Coming from that type, and then depressions and all that other stuff that's in there. I had an interaction with my uncle that for me was very scarring, and I harbored a lot of hate towards this man, right?
Gotcha.
And like I said, that my story is a little bit different because I did move away and I didn't go back home for a while just because of some other things. That's a whole nother episode, a whole nother day. But I was at my grandparents' house. I was down there, I was visiting my cousins. Oh, I say grandparents, my grandma, they live separate. And my uncle came up there just high out his mind on probably whatever he could get his hands on and some, right?
Okay.
And he wouldn't leave. He knew his kids were down there. He was trying to see them because, I don't know, for whatever reason, sometimes when you get high, you feel bad and you want to try to right?
Try to mend everything.
You want to try to mend everything,
right?
But probably not the best.
Not
time
in the
to
best
do it.
headspace to do that.
Not at all,
Right.
right? So, I mean, I was the older one, whatever, and I remember like I went outside and I was at that glass slider door, and I just remember like he just lost his shit and he like threatened to kill me, like had all up in my throat, grabbed me,
Gotcha.
and I was early early teens, right? I mean, right, this is a grown man, whatever. But eventually we got to the situation. Long story short, like I harbored a lot of hate for this guy, and I'm just like, dude, like this man, I can't stand him, whatever. Like I'd kill him right now if I could, you know, type of situation.
Right.
And it's just funny, like when my mom died, you know, I went back home with my sister, and I remember we went down to the same. Grandma's been gone, but you know they still live in the house, whatever. And we were just having these casual conversations, and you know he now is on a cleaner path, hasn't really done anything heavy in forever. Like, cause he's a different guy. It's so weird, right? Like you're like, how are you? This is not. I don't know. I guess I could see how it could create a lot of frustration for other people because you weren't this guy for your kids, but now you're this guy for your kids, right?
I got you.
But I was having this conversation. I was like, yeah, man, you did this to me and this, that, and the other, and you remember this, and he had no clue.
Yeah, I got you.
You know, and he was just so apologetic, and man, I'm so sorry, and I never whatever, and you know he's welling up with these, you know, these emotions, and I never knew, and I did this, and I was in the bad space and whatever, but no clue, no remembering of ever. But this stuck with me all the way until that point. Right. And I'm going back when my mom died. I'm going back as a, you know, 30, 33, whatever plus old man. From the time I was like 13 to 33.
Right. You have 20 years of harboring, justified, but 20 years of energy that you put towards a man who didn't even know. Said he didn't even know, right?
No,
had no recollection.
I would say he had no.
He had even no idea. And man, it's crazy. Not that it wasn't justified, or not that you didn't have to have a need to have to protect yourself, right? And that became your protection, right? That's how you protected yourself, is through that anger or through that unforgiveness, right? It's because I'll never let this happen again, right? And so it became your mode of protection, and that may be why we have so many problems not forgiving, is because we don't know another way to protect that 13-year-old boy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So at 33, I still don't know how to protect myself against this kind of attack. And so the only way that I can do it is to make sure that I'm always on guard, and I never allow myself to forget how that situation made me feel. Because if I don't forget it, then I'll always stay at this level, and I'll always be able to keep my eyes on you, and that'll never happen again. And so I think sometimes, and that's just crazy, man, just sitting right here, right? Even filtering through my own life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And this isn't nothing we pre-planned or scripted out. We're just sitting right here having a deep, meaningful conversation. And here you go, you know, coughing up your childhood. And now here we are, man, having to go back and think about why we do what we do. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the purpose of this thing is, man. Is for not just for us to do it, but for hopefully our viewers and our listeners to go back and really kind of reconsider.
I'm sweating all on the table, man. Hold on, I'm sorry. I look down, I see this. I'm like, it's so hot. These lights, they don't understand. Everybody wants to be on TV until you have to do it.
Until you have to get in these lights, man. Right. Sound checks and all this other kind of stuff.
No, I didn't mean to detract you, but
no, it's okay, man.
No, but you know, you said something, and this is really this might take the topic to a whole different direction.
Yeah.
But what you just said, just a thought popped into my head about it, and when it comes to that protection and that, you know, being on guard because you're protecting that younger self, right?
Yeah, right.
How do you think that being said, how does that relate to race?
Come on, dude. Yeah, you just.
But no, because you have to forgive, right?
Yeah.
To not forget, but then for when you jump into that realm, then it's like we celebrate this because we don't ever want to forget. But is that also a crutch that holds us down?
I believe the answer to that question is yes. I do believe it's a crutch that holds us down because it cripples us and we stay there. Not that you can't I don't know that you'll ever forget that moment. It's probably etched into your brain in such a way where it is always something that may replay unless you push it back. Some people have this ability to be able to shield things from their forward thought, even though it may still be there and come up in different ways or come out in different ways.
Right.
You have this ability maybe to forget it, to cloud it, right? But I think when it comes down to race, man, we get so caught up into what it used to be and and how it matches kind of what the same thing is today, that we're not looking for ways out. You know, we're complaining and we're so mad about what it used to be and what it currently is that we're not looking for a forward movement. And sometimes we get stuck there, just like that the 33-year-old boy that showed up was still stuck there because the 13-year-old boy had been so wounded.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to seem like I'm so deep that I have it all understood, right?
But nobody has it all understood. Right. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. That's why we're trying to unpack it, right?
Right.
But an inability to forgive puts us in a place where we can't move forward sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Where we only see the bad.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because even sitting probably at your mom's, sitting down and having this conversation among family, and you're saying these things, is because you were never able to release that stuff.
No, for sure. And that's the thing, is I don't think that a lot of people even know how to I guess release that, open that valve, let it go.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what eats a lot of people alive. They can't move forward or move through it, and it's not really something that you have a lot of open conversations about.
Yeah.
Usually people talk about the fucked up stuff that happened to them or whatever it may be, but it's always in some kind of like, it always seems to be like the kind of funny stories.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, remember when this happened? Oh yeah, it was messed up, whatever. But there's never like the scarring stories.
The thing is, man, the rugs in the black household are so high because we've swept so much stuff underneath them.
Right.
Right. The rug started here, but that rug is way up here right now because we can't even get out the front door.
Right.
Because we've what goes on in this house stays in this house, and we've swept those things that really were detrimental to our growth, our future growth. We've swept a lot of that stuff under the rug and never had a conversation about it. And so it's hard for you to even know what the tools are to forgive, because we never even dealt with what happened that would cause me to need to forgive.
Right.
We never even talk about it
at all.
We're not talking about Uncle Johnny that did whatever, and you know what I'm saying, or Auntie Susie who, you know what I'm saying. We never even talk about any of it. Right. And we leave it there and expect time to heal all wounds, and
that's what they say.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
We come up with all of this crap that we feel like it's going to work out. Time will heal all. No, it doesn't. No, time doesn't heal all wounds. A deep, meaningful conversation with an open mind will hopefully open the door to healing the wound.
And that's the thing, is that people won't have those, or like for my situation, what do you do when, like with my father, he's dead and gone, been gone for years, right? So how does that person, or me, how do I get to a point of where I can work through the damage, the scars, the everything that's there? And I think, people struggle with that because, there's not always an opportunity. And even when I talk to people, I say, yeah, it sucks, you're hurt, but if you have the opportunity to speak, do it. Do it. I know it's not always going to go great. It's not always going to be the best conversation, but you still have an opportunity to have a conversation. There's so many things that I I can never have answered.
Yeah.
You know, and if you think about just my family and my lineage and how it is, right? Both my parents are gone. So I can't ask them really anything that I want to from childhood. My father's parents lived closest to us. They both have been gone for a while now. So I can't even go back and say, why do you think he was this way? You know, my mom's father, I've never met ever, right? And my mom's lives in Louisiana, and I don't really go back all too much, and that's a whole nother story. But where do you get the answers from? You know?
So there was one of the things that you started with, right? And you because there was a resolve with you and your uncle.
Right.
Is your uncle still here?
He maybe.
Okay. All right. So the possibility that your uncle is still around, he may even have some insight.
You know, I mean, I've thought about that. I've thought about what would it be like to go back and it's probably not even going to be the right answer, and it may not even be a true answer, but to see what their perspective would be.
Because I mean, I would assume, and this is a just a big assumption, right? I would assume that maybe some of what the thoughts and the the demons that your uncle was facing may have been some generational stuff, right?
Right.
And it may have been the same thing that your dad may have been facing. And to maybe have a conversation with him in that moment, could it be the opportunity, without having been able to say anything to anybody else because of the situation, not being able to say anything to mom, not being able to say anything to dad or grandparents, can we tap into the resource that you do have that is the most closely connected and probably has some resemblance? You know what I'm saying? That moment may have resembled other moments, separate, but with your dad, right?
Right.
And so, no, it doesn't fix it, but it may give you an answer or two to help you heal, move on, and forgive when there's nobody to talk to.
Right. I mean, that's a good thing, man. Using your resources, you know, use whatever resources you do have. It's great advice, and I don't think people really necessarily think about that, right? Because until we're sitting here right now, I'm like, you know what, I could probably have a conversation with him, right? I mean, God, I don't know his number or where he's at, or he might be dead too. I don't know. My family does not communicate well.
I got you.
But you know,
but
for other people,
you could be okay. Your family does not communicate well, but here we are on a freaking podcast, right? Here we are on a podcast with microphones and lights and camera, and we are communicating. So there's something about this process that says that you said, you know, I'm going to be different.
Yeah, but true. But I think it's also because it's removed.
It's not removed. Is it removed?
Like, well, I mean, when I say removed from the situation, right? So, you know, I could sit here and we could have a conversation. We could talk about life or whatever else, and yeah, some stuff will probably spur some emotion or whatever, but it's not the same. Like I can tell you, going with my family, because like you said, when you see that person, everything
it all
jumps
floods
to the
back.
front.
Yeah, right.
Like I am in full on, I'm gonna tear your fucking face off mode as soon as I get back, right? This is how I am. And it's the same thing, like even with my dad, like as he got sicker and he got older, we would kind of have occasional conversations, and they weren't the best. You could tell that there was a lot of strain.
It was strained.
It was strained, right? Because it's full of everything that's not said or that you should be saying, but you're having conversations about whatever.
So one of the things came up is pride. Is that does pride keep it from not being said?
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
You know, and that's the thing is for on his side, I'll never know.
You'll never know,
right? Maybe,
right.
but for me, you know, it was more like, yeah, you know, I'm hurt, but I don't know how to necessarily address it, because anytime we've ever had to address it was always in like, God, now I think about it, it's always never the right situation. Like the last time I was like physically there and we had a problem was when I was cleaning out the house for my mom when she passed, and me and my dad, like, we just got into a blowout fight, right? And he ended up pulling a gun, you know, and whatever. I mean, whatever, the whole situation is what it is. But anytime we ever have conversations, it's always in like these stressful times, and you probably shouldn't be having a conversation,
right.
because that's the only time we would get anybody would come around was when somebody died or you had to do something, right? And even then, when people die, you should never go back home. But that's my mom, you know, you got to go. But there was never a good time to have a conversation.
Yeah,
you know, I think so. I don't know, but either way, you know, the forgiveness part is still, it was a hard thing, and it's something that he's been dead now for years, and I'm still struggling with that.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I'm still trying to say, you know, I forgive you for this, or I forgive you for that. And, you know, like I've told you before, a lot of that it came from the realization, right? Like when he had me, you know, like I said, I told you before, like both him and my mom were like 33 years old.
Yeah.
Right. When they had me, older parents, you know, shit, that's probably what's wrong with me. My mom's eggs were dried up, right? No, that's why I came out. That's why I came out a little special. But when I turned 33, however many years ago, and it hit me at that time. Like, I don't know what I was doing, but I was like, shit, I'm 33. I am not responsible. I am not okay. I am in whatever place I was in at that time. Like, how the hell would I raise a kid and have him be normal, right, in this circumstance? Nothing, because I'm not normal. I don't know what normal is.
I don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what normal is. And I was raised in a different. My upbringing was different than yours, right? It's yours was here, mine was over here, but there's still, you know, stories of abuse and all of those kind of things that still sit within the conversation. But nevertheless, what's normal other than what you created to be?
I mean, yeah.
There's no book on this thing, right? There are, you know, self-help books for parents and all of this other kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, when that child comes out, you know, and is crying in the middle of the night and you don't know why, and they can't say anything, you figure it out, right?
Or you smother it with a pillow, according to who you talk to.
You are crazy.
According to who you talk to, man. Hey, you see these mothers snap, and those are the people that need help.
That hopefully, you know what I'm saying, there's a plan for it, right? And some of us, you know, when we want to be, when we've considered it, we've also considered our maturity level, so that if it's not a oops, hopefully we've considered that, okay, maybe this is something that I'm ready for. Right. This is something that, you know, even though I don't have all of the answers to, I still am willing to take the journey. Because if you commit to the journey, then when stuff comes up that you didn't expect, then you kind of work yourself through it, is because you committed to the journey. Right. And with anything else, I think we have to commit to the journey. So if forgiveness is something that's important, not for anybody else because they're not here, but if forgiveness is for you, if you need it for your own mental capacity, then you got to commit to the journey.
And you hit the nail on the head right there. And I think that a lot of people, and even on both ends, if it's the person that needs to forgive and the person that is the forgiving, I guess, right? I don't know if I said that right, but on both sides of that coin, there has to be an understanding that there is a commitment to that, and it's not a light switch, right?
Yeah.
Like you can say, okay, I forgive you. Generally, when you say I forgive you, you're still pissed off, and you're not in a forgiving point, right? You still need a lot of help to deal with whatever that situation is, or work through whatever that situation is. But that person on the other side, if they are still there, also needs to understand and commit to that journey for making it right.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and because it does suck that it's usually the person, and, you know, we've said before, it's the person that gets hurt is usually the one that has to do the most work. Right. Because now they have to crawl out of that hole of being hurt and, you know, get the trust back and forgive and try to build the relationship new again. And, you know, it's always and. And that's the hard thing, is it's not going to be, some of these things, they're not going to go away in a day or a week or a month, a year. Shit, decades over here and still not gone, right? And everybody's different. And I think that some people think that they have to be, you know, on all the time, or, okay, I said I'm going to do it, so it should be done. Why is it not going away? You know, like,
I think there's a couple, excuse me. I think there's a couple things we have to do, right? We have to normalize help.
Right.
And not be so, and definitely in our community, it's taboo to, I think it's becoming more and more open and available now. But, you know, initially it's back to that, you know, we're going to be okay. We're going to make it out. You know, we don't need help.
We will survive.
We're going to survive, because that's what we've been conditioned to do. Make the best out of it, right? We were given the crap, you know, the pieces of everything that was left, and we made great stuff out of it. And that's what we've been conditioned to do, is take the crap that we're given, dress it up, season it well, and then present it back as a gourmet meal, right?
Exactly.
Yet, at the end of the day, we still realize that we were still given the crap, right? And so you battle that thing. And so if we look at that, we have to normalize getting some help. We have to be okay with, if you can't afford to go to a counselor or somebody else, can you find someone? Is there someone who's not going to let you stay in that current position? Now you have to build trust, and you have to allow that person the ability to tell you the truth, right? And you be open to hearing the truth. Because if you want somebody just to tell you what you want to hear, then that's a waste of your time, right?
Echo chamber is never good.
Yeah, if that's just never if good. You're just going to agree, you want somebody to, you know, you be able to go off and this, that, and the third, and you be like, yeah, you're right. No,
right.
That's the wrong one. Find another one, because that's not the right one, you know. And man, this is just, you know, we have to be open and available, I think, to, at some point, allowing our lives, wanting to be different in our lives. Do we want to grow past it? Do we want to be better? And it doesn't necessarily have to be for the other person, because the other person may not be where you are. But if they're not willing to go with you, you still have to take that journey on your own, because for your own mental state and capacity and the legacy that you're going to leave, right? Because right now, you're scared to leave a legacy. And I can tell you, for man to man, you're a solid dude, right? More than anything, right? And you know, just having just simple conversations, you know, fatherhood and all of those kind of things, which you are so freaking afraid of, or, you know, you would be great at. And that's just, you know, my opinion, just sitting right here talking to you, man.
I appreciate it. I still disagree.
I know.
But
which is why, you know, I'm not the one that's going to ever agree with you on that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it though, man, you know, and but that's the thing. And just hearing compliments is always hard, right? But it's also nice and to know that you're good peoples. Right, you know, it's good to hear.
There's some good, it's some good soil there.
There's some good, but that's the thing. I don't think anybody, you know, everybody's their own worst critic, right? You know, no one ever thinks that anything is ever good enough, or I'm good enough, or this person's better than me, or whatever it is. You know, I don't know. You know, I still have a lot of corners to turn, and I know that a lot of it is on my shoulders, but you know, a lot of it is also what what I've seen growing up, you know, and then the environments that you're in, right? they say, you know, there's always a saying for everything, right? But you're a product of your own environment, right? So it is difficult, you know, it is difficult, especially when you're out there trying to interact in any capacity, because nobody really knows your struggles, right? And then, you know, like I've had the conversation with my sister, one of the few that we have, right? It's always, like I said, always happens when it's like relationship or whatever, right? But, you know, I know that she's struggled because she has guys that don't understand why she is the way she is. And I've been in the same situation, and we can relate to that, right? But, you know, like my sister, man, like, God, I'm still trying to crack the code to understand her. But I mean, my sister is a beautiful woman. I'm not just saying that because she's my sister. She really is. You know, she's smart as all hell. You know, hard worker. You know, she has a lot going for it. And if you just look from like the box, if a guy's out there to say, you know, this is what I want, like my sister hits all those boxes. Her own house, own car, takes care of herself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's still a struggle for her in a lot of times because they don't understand that there is some damage there from the past, right? And she can't talk to them about it because you haven't walked in those shoes, so you don't know what really is there. You know, how much really is there. I can say, hey, I get it, you know, but does that help her? I don't know, you know, and we don't really talk enough for it, but it is hard, and people do need to be able to find people that understand, and that's not always out there, you know, or maybe it is, and we just don't know how to access it, you know, especially like you said, in our community, you know. I mean, I could think of some people that we both mutually know that could benefit from some conversation, But how are you going to get them to sit down and have that conversation? You know,
you have to see value in it, man. And honestly, we don't see value in it, I guess, until, like you said, until we're tired or we're at a place, a crossroads that forces us to have a conversation.
Right.
You know, and at that point, we're probably already on edge, and we're not getting the best value out of the conversation at that point, right? But one of the things that we can mature in is seeking out opportunities where the conversation isn't as structured. I mean, isn't forced. So, you know, is there an opportunity where there's not a lot going on, where the life hadn't hit us and we're forced to be in each other's presence, and now we explode? Could there be an opportunity for us to say, okay, monthly, we're gonna set up one day where we call and just talk, right? And begin to create the normalcy out of us just having a conversation. And in those conversations, we're going to begin to then start having deeper understanding of one another, that it may just be implied and not even be said, but in the conversation you'll hear something that triggers something else. Just like us, we're feeding off of each other. We don't sit here with a script that's written out and we read through it, right? But you'll say something that, boom, that triggers something about what I went through, or I say something and it triggers, and then we go off of one another. And then when the end, if this doesn't help you guys, at the end of the conversation, you and I helped. Right. You and I come out with a different perspective. Now, what we do with that is on us. You know what I'm saying? What we take and use those tools for is on us, and it's on everybody to see value in it and then do something different about your life.
Yeah, I mean, you said a couple things that really hit the nail on the head, and that sparked some things in me. But no, real talk, being able to be here and have this type of is discord the right word? Discourse. There you go. I'm not educated, people, not college educated. Don't use big words, but
he's not college educated, but he's educated. Let's clear that up.
but what you said, when it comes down, even if it doesn't help the people that are here, it helps us. And one of the things that I will say that has helped me from having these conversations is I listen a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've noticed that I've listened a lot more, because before, if I hear something or I don't like it or do whatever, like I'll just fire off on,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I just
I got
fire
you.
off on you,
I got
whatever.
you.
But having a conversation with you, and I don't know, just being able to sit here and be open and talk, like that has helped my communication in dealing with other people or assessing problems or whatever, because I'm here, I want to hear what you have to say,
Right.
I'm actively listening,
Right.
and so now I do that in my real life. Well, let me actively listen to see what this person has
Right.
to say, and then
Right.
I'll say whatever it is. So I appreciate you for that, in that, but also something that kind of sparked, and it's interesting because when we talk about help, we talk about setting up the time or whatever to have those conversations. I think about group conversations, and I'm curious, and I actually want to know from these people out here and the listeners out there if they feel that there's better value in individual conversations or group conversations, because I think about, and I know someone right now that's going to a group gathering, let's just say for people that are dealing with a certain issue, right? Or we can talk about AA if you want, or whatever.
Right.
It's not quite the same, right? But
It's a group conversation.
it's a group conversation. But are those as helpful as they are, I guess, put out there to be, right? So, and what I mean by that is, like, let's say if we talk about, I don't know, what's a good topic? Drug addiction or battered women or whatever the situation is. When you go into a group of people and you have these conversations, generally, I've been to AA. I've had to go to AA for multiple different reasons, even as a child and everything like that. Whole nother story. But when you get there, you hear everybody's sad stories, right? And that's fine. And it does create a sense of I'm not alone, because there's someone else that is suffering, right? But at least for me, I didn't feel that there was growth in that. It was
just
still,
everybody just sharing their suffering.
Everybody's just there talking about how shitty life is, and I had this problem, this person punched me in the eye, like whatever. And you're never really like, you may get a tip or two about, you should try to love yourself, the generic stuff. But is it more positive or negative to be in there? Or do we not realize it's negative because we find comfort in knowing that other people are suffering? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it has it's a double-edged sword.
Right.
I think it has its good and it's bad, and I say that because if the group isn't at a place where it just doesn't allow the stories to become why you come. If the stories don't then begin to create healing opportunities,
right,
then you've wasted your time. You just come and just put your dirt out on the table, and then next week you come and you put more dirt out on the table.
Do it again.
You just do it again and do it again, and so you keep reliving these things, but then there's no resolution to any of it.
Right.
And so in that case, no, I don't feel like it's helpful. I feel like it's just an opportunity to come and share these sob stories, and we all have them, so we all can come up with another one. Right? We all can share another one. So yes, it momentarily it may make it easy, because now it pulls me off the island.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not over here by myself. I'm not alone in this. Yes, it pulls me off the island, but now that I'm off the island and I'm on the mainland and I'm talking about these stories, who else now that has gone through what I've gone through can come back and now share something that actually gives me tools to move forward with? Right? Because if I only just share the sob story and I don't have a tool, right?
Right.
What?
Come in there, they did it to me again.
They got me
guys.
again. You stay in a victim's role.
Right.
You remain a victim if all you continue to do is share the story.
Right.
And you're never empowered to, one, forgive yourself, because maybe you felt like you deserved it or whatever it was, right? So forgive yourself, be empowered by that. And then two, to be able to forgive the person whether they're there or not.
Right.
And we need those tools. If we can't get those tools, if you and I can't have a conversation, Shepherd, and we not, and the tools, we not leave with a tool, at least one, to help me move to the next thing, then we've wasted our time and wasted viewers' time and whomever else's time, because we're not giving anything of value.
Right. I mean, I agree. You know, you get lost in that loop of redundancy. You know, you should never be getting your 20-year chip. You know,
Yeah.
like, you go back. You're going back to the same thing, right?
Right.
And I mean, maybe a sense of community is good for some.
It does.
And I get that,
Right.
and I understand that. But
Right.
ultimately, it is about growth, and it is about finding, you know, what can I do that's going to make me better, you know? And they say you want to be around people that are doing better than you, because they're going to pull you up.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And that's what you kind of got to do. And I don't feel like you necessarily get that in those situations. So I mean, and I put that out there because I'm just curious, you know, the listeners that are out there, because we are talking about, you know, how do you forgive or
Yes.
find forgiveness or whatever?
Yes.
Do you go to a group thing? Do you
Right.
find the help? Do you look for avenues or of other people that are dealing with it, you know? And I don't know, for me, I personally don't see a ton of value in that.
So is there somebody out there that enlighten us, right? If you've gone through kind of those group sessions in whatever situation, you know, and you've gotten some enlightenment, you've grown and you've developed and you've been able to move forward, then share with us kind of that story, share with us that information so that we can pass that on in this platform, right? We can
Yeah.
have a conversation. We can maybe even have a conversation with you, you know, about how you were able to do it and do it well and move on with life. Is because we get stagnant and we find ourselves not living life, and it's already short.
Yes,
It's already,
it is.
you know, a vapor in time. When we look at the overall scheme of things, 100 years is really not much, right? And we're not even guaranteed that many.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so with this vapor we call life, how do we make the most of it? Even the hiccups in it, how do we make the most of those and still live it fruitfully and with joy and some peace and some understanding, right?
Yeah, no, you said something, and it's kind of funny, because you talk about life and excuse me, but you talk about life and being a vapor and being so short, because 100 years really isn't short, right? But then it's like, well, I don't want people to also panic, right? Because in the grand scheme of things, 100 years is a blink of an eye,
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, I think that also puts a lot of pressure on people as well, because they say, you know, I'm only guaranteed this amount of time, or, you know, whatever. I mean, for me, when I look at time and I look at life and I look at where I am and so on and so forth, I mean, obviously things have changed, you know, over the past, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? So 50 years old today, you know, it's a different than 50 years old, you know, 30 years ago, right? But also, you do, even though life is so short, you do have time, because, you know, let's just say life expectancy is, let's just say 80. We're going to say 80, right? You really don't know who you are, right? Your brain's not done developing, you know, any of this stuff until you're 25, something like that, whatever, right? I don't know, 23, 25, right? But you're not even really to a point where you are knowing who you are, knowing your direction, in a career, settling down. You're not there until you're, let's say, 30, right? So if you're gonna live
in the perfect world,
and it's different for everybody, right? We're going perfect.
yeah, right.
But let's say 30. So you have from 30 to 80, right? What, 50 years, right? You have 50 years of good living to do, of being able to tackle whatever course, right? Most people can pay a house off in 30, right? Some can do it in 15, but you could still pay an entire house off and still have 20 years, right, of extra time.
Right.
And all of that is still double, almost, the amount of time you got just to get to that starting point, right? So I think people sometimes feel like, oh, I just turned 30, my life is over. I just turned 25, my life is over. You know, you have 2.5 times, sometimes 3 times the amount of time you've already been alive to make a change.
To make a change.
You know, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, don't be afraid. You have so much time. That doesn't mean procrastinate, you know, but you don't have to feel like you have to cram everything into and fit this, you know, life in this one bubble because, yeah, you know, all this, the YOLOs and you only live once and all this other stuff. And yeah, don't blow your whole load.
Yeah, right. You know? In that one thing.
In that one thing.
And you said 30 to 50, right? That's 50 years. I mean, 30 to 80. 30 you have those 50 years sitting there, right? The only thing that we have to consider is what did we bring from 0 to 30 that is not going to help us be great in the last 50. And if we don't deal with what happened from 0 to 30, then 30 to 80, we may only get 10 of those.
Right.
We may not get it to 70. What are we doing? You know, after we've gotten old and gray and slow down and you can't even, you know, you riding on the little cart, you know, pulling them out at Walmart because you can't even walk around anymore.
Right.
And you don't get it till your grandkids are graduating. You know what I'm saying? Have you really lived a life that the life you could have lived if we didn't, if at 33, we don't have a conversation that helps me live better the next 50, right? Because yes, that's the crowning glory. We fully into our career. We've bought a house. We're probably starting a family. We're doing all of these other kind of things. If those are the things that we wanted to do, we're traveling the world, or we're doing whatever it is that now we feel like we can do as an adult, right? But if I'm doing it, but I don't have any joy and I don't have any peace and I don't have any forgiveness because of things that have happened in those previous years,
right?
Then I'm just making it up as I go along, right? And where's the fulfillment in any of that?
Yeah, I mean that's the honest to God truth. And
I'm just making good Facebook posts, Instagram posts,
making fake good,
doing it for the gram.
Yeah, doing it for the gram. but that's the thing, and what you said is valuable, and it's the truth because, and I think a lot of people struggle with that. In all honesty, right? I don't honestly think the majority of the people know what a good life is, right? That they just are going through these motions or going through these things. And yeah, there's some people that enjoy their misery or their success or whatever it is. There's a select few, but we're talking about the mass population here. Like, I don't know, I guess for us, like, right, there's whoever's watching the videos right now, and it's just like anybody. It's just like motivational speakers. It's just like whatever. You can go and you can hear these people speak these words, and they can get you pumped up, and you're super psyched in that moment. Yeah. And then you got to go back to reality. Right. And you don't carry any of that momentum. You know, into your regular life. And then it was great, that little blip of time that you got to hear someone, you know, make you feel good or motivate you or whatever was there. But how do you apply that to your daily life, you know, to make sure that you are living the best life for those remaining 50 years, right? And I don't know what that catalyst is. I don't know what the catalyst is to give people that bump, to give people that drive, right? I mean, even me, I'm the same, right? We're going to end the podcast. I'm gonna take these headphones off, and then I gotta go to my shit job. And do you know what I'm saying though? And that's the majority of my life at that point in time, right? And that's what I have to live in. And how do you make that better, right? And I think a lot of people struggle with that because they say, it's easy for them. And I mean, for us, it's a little different because we're a little more honest about where we are in life or whatever. But right, that's why they have the saying, it's always easier said than done.
Yeah.
Right. Anybody can tell you,
just do it.
Yeah, be honest, just forgiveness. You can do it, you can jump, you can whatever. But what is the catalyst to spark that drive or that change or whatever? Because someone's not always going to have you for me to motivate me or me to push you.
Yeah. Okay, it's unfolding in my brain.
Hey, that's how we gotta do it. This is not a script.
Is forgiveness or is moving on or is that growth beneficial? And if you can't answer that, if your answer is yes, then that's a different set of things that we're gonna look at. But if it's not beneficial for you to forgive, and your answer is no, then you go up through life in a different way, right? And so you have to see it as beneficial in order for it to make sense, right?
Right.
And I have this view, right? We go to the gym, you know what I'm saying? We work out. A lot of people, when they go to the gym, they put on headphones and you put on your inspirational music or your whatever it is. It's gonna get you hyped. You on bench and you gotta get there and you gotta get that last sit up. You're not listening to jazz, right? You're listening to something that's going to hype you up, that's gonna get you where you need to be. And it's going to push you because you realize I need this extra push. I need this extra amount of inspiration. I need this thing that's gonna hype me to the place that's going to get me to where I wanna be physically.
Right.
What if we put our headphones on for life? What if after we left the gym, we kept on headphones that helped me push through the issues of life? But I don't know where I wanna be, so I don't know what I need. We have to set ourselves in a place where we identify that it's beneficial for me to be better. It's beneficial. It's beneficial that we go to the gym and we work out and we get this health under control. Right? Because we want to enjoy that last 50. It's beneficial. Is it beneficial for me to forgive my mom because she did this, that, or the third? Is it beneficial for me to forgive that husband or that wife for doing what they did to me? Is it beneficial for me as a child to forgive parents? Whatever it is.
Right.
If I don't find benefit in it, then I'll never put on the headphones and work to push through the last set. I'll always just put 145 on the ball and I'll do 1,000 of them.
Right.
You know, and I'll fool myself in the gym as if I'm getting stronger and I'm not. That's when somebody shows up and is able to press that button that I'm not strong enough to make it through that situation, is because all I did was come in and I play with the weight.
Right.
And I'm not straining to be better.
Right.
We have to, that growth of the muscle comes with a strain. It comes with a breaking down. It comes with a tearing and then a repair. And if we're not willing sometimes to put the headphones on, put on the inspirational music that's going to take us to that next level, help us push through. And we do it on our own.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people in the gym by themselves, right? Working hard by themselves.
Yeah.
There's one dude in the gym and he's just loud and crazy. And tearing up everything and moving everything. But that's what he needed.
That's what he needed to get
That's
going.
what he needed to push through it.
To get pumped.
To get pumped, right?
Pumped.
You know it. Like, dude, come on, man. I hear you through my headphones, man.
It's not that serious.
It's not that serious. But it is for him.
It is.
That's what was necessary for him to be better and achieve the goal he went into the gym to achieve. Maybe we just not ready to put on the headphones and push through the last set.
I mean, that's the truth. You need the soundtrack of life, but it's not quite there yet. But we just said something too that I can't believe I said it's a pet peeve of mine, right? But we say it's not that serious, right? We say it's not that serious. I think a lot of times, especially when we're coming out for to help somebody or to kind of have these conversations or whatever, I think a lot of times we get that it's not that serious mentality when dealing with other people's problems. And he said for him it was, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to other people's problems and then the things that they encounter or face, like it may not be something as serious as you, but it's devastating to
them,
to that person, right?
Right.
And I've caught myself, and I've also been in that position where I'm like, man, get over it. Like, I've dealt with worse, right?
Yeah.
But how many people have I hurt or pushed away or do whatever because I'm just like, really? Like, but they don't know how to deal with the problem.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem for them. And I'm just like, you're an idiot. Go
And
away.
at that point, you're basing it off of the hurt you've been through.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so you're basing it off of your own personal circumstances. And your own personal circumstances were yours. Tailor-made
Just
for
for
you.
me.
Just for you, right? And you're strong enough to handle that in that situation because clearly you're still here.
Right.
Whatever issues we kind of still working through or battling through or whatever it is that we're still trying to achieve, the physical man who has a desire to be better is still sitting at the table, right? Which means you were equipped. They were equipped to handle a different set of circumstances, right?
Right.
And for them, that's as detrimental to them as yours is to you. And yes, we do have to be mindful of that. If we're playing the middleman, the counselor, the opener, the person that they can come to and trust to have a conversation, then we can't be jerks at the table. Right. I understand not letting people just keep going and on and stay in the, just keep going into the mess.
Right,
but at some point, we can't just be like, get over it. What are you doing?
What are you doing? God, you get on my nerves, right? I don't got time for it. You come
what
to
are we
me
doing? Right.
Every week is the same thing.
Same
right?
thing.
You're not getting better. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about, and just going through and the people that have come or the situations that have been brought to me or whatever, I don't know. I do my best to try to help, but sometimes I do just say, like, get over it. And I feel bad. So if you're listening to this and I have said that to you, my bad. My bad. Yeah, I wasn't in a good spot, right? I hate that too, man. When people I wasn't in a good spot. I wasn't in a good spot as if it's justification for whatever. But
it's not justification, but I believe it can help to give perspective to why somebody did what they did or why they said what they said, right? And if you're open to hearing their perspective, it just maybe gives you insight to let you know it wasn't necessarily about me.
Right.
Because some people take on that burden to be like, I did this, or I'm not good enough because this is what happened, right? And you take on that burden of self-doubt and you just begin to pile it up on your own shoulders, believing that you're not successful enough or good enough or pretty enough or tall enough or whatever it is. Right? And you put that on, you take that burden on. I think sometimes hearing that, I had a bad day, helps you maybe not to reflect on it and be like, okay, I didn't create that.
Right.
Right. So I think the conversation is still necessary. Everybody owning up to their part is still necessary. And then everybody willing to come to the table and say, you know what? This is necessary for me to move on. And me being honest is necessary for you to move on, caring enough to give me the truth and you receive the truth so that we both can be better on the back end. I believe creates a platform for us to forgive.
I mean, I think that's a good place to kind of end it right there, man. Forgiveness, it's multifaceted. It's not any one solution.
Yeah.
But it all starts with...
Can't go to Walmart and buy it.
Can't buy it, man. But it all starts with a conversation, know, and that's kind of what we're here for. So hopefully this was at least a little beneficial for the person requesting. And, if you have any further questions or comments, we definitely want to hear it. We want to be able to help as much as we can, and this is the first step in that. And there's many more to come.
Yeah, and we'll continue to share our journey, of our own personal story of forgiveness and hurt and then forgiveness and all of those kind of things and what they look like. And by, a year's in, hopefully we'll have a testimony that says something different than what we even shared today.
Only time will tell, my man.
Yes, sir.
Let's get out of here and end this right now.
Yes, sir.